Hey there everyone, GK here. I've recently had a comment on one of my videos, one of very few. How do I build this? Specifically, someone was asking how to build the minecart elevator that I showed in a previous video. So, as you can see, there's a little bit of redstone. I'm going to go through it in a relatively step-by-step process and show you how to build it from scratch, how to use all of the redstone equipment, including the elevator rails and the tracks, and how to get it all working so that it deposits you on the floor of your choosing. So, for example, this is our call button, generally on the left. There we go. And this is our next floor button, on the right. So, how does this all work? Let's go through it. Okay. The first thing you're going to need to do is build yourself the substructure which will support your minecart rails. This first one I showed you a moment ago is only 2 stories. It's a ground floor and a first floor. The one I'm going to show you here is going to be 3 stories, ground, first and second. Let's get into the redstone of the launcher first. This is the basic setup. You need something to launch the carts. In this case we've got a locking track. Locking tracks are from Railcraft, as you can see in Whaler at the top there. They're simple enough, but they do all kinds of functions, including launching the cart towards the direction of the arrow. If you can see here, see this is just a stub end. You can redirect it the other way. They can lock trains, completely lock things down, or hold carts until they get a redstone signal, in which case the cart will pass on the way it was travelling beforehand, or, in the case what we're going to use, boarding mode. These will take a redstone signal and launch the car in the direction it's facing, no matter where it comes from. Of course, if it comes from this direction, it will overshoot this, so we'll have a buffer stop track, also from Railcraft, in order to stop it. And you can whack these with wrenches to change them. The next step is some vanilla Minecraft booster tracks, because you need a bit of propulsion to keep the thing going. There's just a redstone torch under this, keeping it powered, which is down here. And underneath this there is a redstone receiver which triggers our pulse. So these buttons, when we place a minecart down, have different effects. So generally I have the one on the right as my launcher up, and the ones on the left on my launcher down. But it depends on how many floors you've got as to how complicated it can get. These are 1 block away from the elevator track for a reason. If they were 1 block over, they would trigger the elevator, which is not what you want. As it is, you just want them triggering the wireless transmitters I've got behind. And if we flick the button, cart goes up. And if we flick it again, cart goes down. This works via these elevator tracks. An elevator track on its own functions as a ladder. You can just climb up it like you would any time. However, it's a bloody expensive ladder. When given a redstone signal, however, it pulls any minecart at the base of it, or any minecart that flies into it, up at a fairly rapid rate. Likewise, if there's no power and it receives a minecart, it will go down instead. And this is the essence of how we're going to make the track. So, the first thing we need to do is set our buffers in, and I generally have these about 6 blocks away from the wall in order to get the propulsion needed. So then of course we have our booster tracks in, and we'll have our locking track in. And once again, these locking tracks, you need to set the direction. So I've just gone past it there. There we go. Now, as I said before, underneath there is a redstone torch. As you can see in my inventory, I've got all the ingredients necessary. I'm going to put this 1 step away to power there. Let's fill that back in. And that's a similar setup to what we've got. Now, the actual launching mechanic is done by wireless transmitters. So when I flick this button, it triggers transmitter 2, which is for the second story. If I flick this button, which is the call button, it triggers transmitter 1. And what these do are as follows. Transmitter 1 simply fires off this white channel, which leads us to number 3. And number 3, as you can see here, is our launcher tracks. You'll need one of these under every launcher track. So when I push the button, all the launchers go. Did you see it flash? Like that. So every time you push a button, it triggers this white channel. And this channel launches the cart no matter what floor you're on, as long as all these transmitters are set to 3. I'll show you this one down here briefly. See? It's exactly the same. In order to go up though, we need an extra signal, which I've listed on the back here. This is transmitter 4. And as you can see, when we hit 2, we put it into a multiplexer, which fires the signal out into the white channel again, but also into the orange channel, thereby triggering channels 3 and 4 respectively. 3 is our launcher, 4 attaches to a state cell, which default it's only on 2 seconds, and it's about 1.8 seconds per 10 blocks. By that I mean it takes about 1.5 seconds to get from this ground floor up 10 blocks in the elevator to this one, at which point it will shut off. So if I call, see, 1, 2, gone. And we can see the redstone working here. If I were to use a button on this seconds one, see, triggers redstone, which triggers both of those. It also happens to trigger this, but this is irrelevant for our purposes because we wanted to trigger the white channel anyway. So the first thing we need to do is to calculate how many floors we've got. In this case we've got 3. So 3 buttons. We'll put this one on the right. So this will be our call button, and then we'll have the first floor and the second floor. When you go up a floor though, you're already on the first floor. So this will be our call button again, and now we'll have ground floor and second floor. Likewise on the third floor we'll have a call button, and then we've got first floor and ground floor respectively. You will need covers in between these red alloy wire if you are using more than 2 floors, because obviously the wires will try and connect to each other like so, and it will just cause problems. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a transmitter here and here. Remember, these are our first and second floors, and a transmitter over here. This is going to be our ground floor. So I'm going to set this to 1, I'm going to set this to 2, and I'm going to set this to 3. So this is our call, first floor, second floor. And generally you would mark these round the front with signs. So we would then use our red alloy wire to connect them up. And as you can see, we've got the problem here. So we're going to need a cover. I'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, I've got a strip here which is formed from a cover that's cut in half by a saw, and we're just going to place that in between to stop those two connecting. So now if we hit number 2, he'll only fire off the second channel, and number 3 will only fire off the third channel. Okay? Now we need one of these setups for every floor, but these numbers will switch around depending on what we get. So for example, for the call button on the ground floor, we want to trigger channel 1. But the call floor on the the call button on the second floor will not be channel 1, it'll actually be channel 2. So if we go up here, this is our call level, and I'll put that there. So this is actually going to be channel 2. Likewise up here, we want channel 3. This is the easiest way I've found of doing it. And you want your launchers generally on the left and your call button on the right. And obviously you can sort of expand this as you go. Depending on the reach of your character, some mods have quite a long way, you can get comfortably over to there from your launcher track, and you can obviously have buttons on the floor or wherever you need to, or even a computer craft system. But I'm doing this with just red power logic, as you can see. So the next step is 2 more and 2 more. Now in order to go down to the ground floor, this needs to be 1, because this will trigger the first channel, and we'll go up to the third floor as well. Whoops. We're already on the third floor, so this one wants to be the first floor, this one wants to be the second floor, so on and so forth. Let's switch those round so that the highest number's on the top. Okay. Now we need to set up the channels and how to launch them. So, first thing is we need a receiver. We need one for channels 1, 2, and 3 now. And you'll have one for every floor. So these are generally connected to a network, so we'll have channel 1 just trigger the white channel. We'll have channel 2 trigger white and orange. And we'll have channel 3 trigger white and magenta. So we've now got white, orange and magenta channels, one for each floor. And we're going to use bundled cable to play around with them. So, if I place a strip of bundled cable down here, and then I can hook all these up, just like that. Every channel must trigger this white channel, because this is our launcher, remember. We're going to set this to the frequency connected underneath our holding track. So, but in order to split the channel, we need a buffer gate. So that's the easiest way to do it. Wrong way around. Simple. It puts a signal in, and then outputs a signal on two sides. Same over here. And obviously this is going to be channel 1, because we want this one just to go to the ground floor. We only need to trigger white, which is the launcher, and no redstone signal needs to go to our elevator. This one's going to be obviously channel 2 and channel 3 respectively. So when I push the first button, if I get ourselves a lamp here, oh, there we go. I think that needs to be red, doesn't it? Yeah. And we push channel 1, on goes our light. So, no matter what we do, whether it's channel 1, 2 or 3, we will now trigger the white channel. But not the orange, unless we hit channel 2, or the pink. Sorry, magenta. Go away. So, now that we have a way to trigger the channels, we need to distinguish between them. So, the first thing the white channel is going to do is activate another transmitter here. We've already got 3 channels there, so let's call this channel 4. Channel 4 is going to be our launcher. So every time we hit the button, white channel 4 will go. Let's go around here. White channel 4 is this. It's our booster rail. So underneath each booster rail, if I come back here, we're going to need a wireless transmitter, sorry, a wireless receiver, set to channel 4, and we're going to need some red alloy wire in order to connect it under there. So now, whenever we hit the call button, it will launch from everything, but no power will be sent to the elevator rail. Okay. And we need this under every single launcher. So the launchers are generally going to be here, sorry, there, and here. And of course we need the wireless transceiver set to 4 underneath. So now all the buttons will send a launch signal. So I'm just going to quickly add the launch mechanism onto each floor, and I'll be right with you. Okay, all our floors now have a launcher, and if we hit any button, you can see it should fire them off. Okay. Obviously it's not working on these ones at the top because they're not actually connected to any signal yet. But if we fire it on the bottom, flashes. Now, the next signal is the orange. And the orange is going to come out. And the orange signal is actually going to be transmitted up here to about this point. And what this is going to be is our first elevator rail signal. And in order to do this, as you can see over here, channel 4, we're going to use a state cell. So let's put that in. It goes there. That's the wrong way. There we go. So this state cell will hold a signal for 2 seconds, depending on what the input signal is. And in this case, we're going to have the input signal as, because we're on the second channel, we're going to be channel 5. So let's put in our receiver there. That's going to be channel 5. Now, every time we activate channel 5, this state cell will hold on a signal for 2 seconds, which will bring us up to here. So if we put our elevator rails in, and they're simple enough, you just stick them on the wall like you would any ladder. Now, you only need to power the part of the rail up to the floor where you want to go to. So if you're going, say we're on floor 14 here, you only need to power this 14th rail, because obviously it goes down to here. I say 14th rail, this is only 10 blocks because we start on floor 4. So if I come up here and call an elevator, there's no signal going to there, but the launcher should have pushed it off. There we go. The reason it didn't go any further is because these weren't powered. Booster tracks. And as you know, booster tracks, when they're unpowered, slow a cart down. So, let's try this again. What we're going to do is we're going to place a lever under it, like I have here. Simple enough, just make sure it's not right next to the track, otherwise it'll activate it. Just one step back, away from your boarding rail, and there we go. So, if we now call this, it will come down. Okay. And because we want to go up to number 2, it's this bottom one, we can call that, and it will go up. And as you can see, it automatically puts out. Now, to go up to 3, we need to do the same all the way up here, except we need to be a little bit higher. So, once again, we're going around the back. These are our cells, so let's go up to, I think it's about here. We're going to have our state cell. Wrong way again. And we're going to have our wireless receiver. Naturally, this one's going to be number 6, which is next in line. And of course, number 6 is going to be the pink channel. Just like that. So now, if we trigger number 3, you can see it goes all the way to the top. Let's put a lever under that. Give it a nudge. There we go. And then it's just a case of attaching everything together until it all fits. So, obviously you need your separators to stop the floors you want to go to from being connected. And you want your call button on the right. That's a bit low. Whoops. And that... oh, maybe that's not pretty much low, it's just me being stupid. Apparently I'm pretty much high. So let's put this down to 2 again. Get rid of those. This needs to be number 3. That needs to go down on. And they can go. So, transmitter again. This needs to be number 1. And we're red, aren't we? And that's it. That's the basic setup around the back. As you can see, you just repeat this every floor and the number on the left will increase depending on the amount of floors you have, and this will go as long as you need it, really. So hopefully now, if I call my minecart, it should come down to floor 1. Or it would if I hadn't popped it. So let's hop in there. Now, obviously highs up, so let's go to floor 2. There. Now, I've done goof somewhere. What have I done? What I did was I forgot to set this state cell. This is only 2 seconds, and 2 seconds isn't quite enough to get to the top. Remember, it's about 1.8 per. So if we set this up to 4, let's see how high we get this time when we go to the top. So, first floor, second floor. 1, 2. Success. And back down again, because apparently I didn't pop my minecart. Let's get rid of this one. Let's call it. Now, for some reason, calling 1 has activated the signal. And it shouldn't have. So, that must mean I've got a signal that's conflicting up here. I'll be right back when I figure this out. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I figured it out. If we set this to the ground floor, we trigger that. Only the ground floor triggers. If we set it to the first floor, only the second one triggers. And if we set it to the second floor, only the third one triggers. The problem was a fault of my own devising. It was the redstone circuit I had here. Obviously, having 2 signals, each with the same number, caused a bit of a conflict. But everything seems to be working now. I even managed to compact the system a little. So what we've got here. When a signal is given from input 1, which is the call button on the first floor, and of course the access to the first floor on subsequent floors, it activates signal 4, which is the launchers. Likewise, when a signal is given on the first floor, it activates the launchers, but also activates a redstone signal to this state cell, which is set for 2 seconds. And we can follow that here. If I go to the first floor and trigger it, click. Nothing else goes on. Likewise, for the third floor, activates signal 4 and activates signal 6, which is our third thing. And there it goes. And that's set to 4 seconds. So, what we do now, let's call the elevator, see if it comes down, hop in, let's go to the first floor, let's go back down to the ground floor, that's working, let's go all the way to the top. Success. So there we go, and because of the buffer stop track, you can just get out and then you can obviously build your base out from wherever you want to be. These Tyrian blocks are actually really nice. Chisel, if anyone cares. But there you go, that's the whole system. And of course, because these little redstone signals are expandable, there's nothing stopping you having, say, this could be channel 7, so this could be input 7, and we can obviously have an extra floor up here and so on and so forth, and you just repeat this pattern up as long as you go. So there's nothing stopping you having another signal here as well, so you can have an extra button. So this is the call button. If I actually send the thing down to the ground floor, the call button basically works by triggering the signal for that floor. That's it. It doesn't actually, it's not specific, it just triggers the same signal as all the other buttons do for that floor. And then it's just a case of building it as high as you want. Though, if you need more than 30 blocks, your base is huge. As you get bigger, however, remember that the times on these state cells will have to increase. It works out to about 2 seconds per floor. So stick with that for now. Obviously you can fine tune it if you really want to, but as long as it's on and it spits you out the right place, you can go in. The problem with having it on not long enough, as I showed you earlier, is simply you don't get there and you fall down again. The problem with having it too long is that you may overshoot your floor, or you may go to the wrong floor, and if you go back, it will just bounce you back in and out until it turns off. So if I activate this floor again, it launches, bounces you straight back, because this is active, and that will keep going until this timer runs out. It's only 4 seconds though. Let's take you down the floor. And there you go. It's all redstone circuitry, no computer controlled, and these are nice compact little redstone circuits. So, things you will need: a block to which to build on. You will need a screwdriver and a crowbar to build with. Track wise, you will need a buffer stop track, a locking track, 3 booster tracks for each floor, each of those, as many elevator tracks as you think you can allow. For reference, each of these floors is 10 blocks high, so level 4, 14, 24, and that's about 2 seconds per 10 blocks. You obviously need strips or covers in order to separate your redstone circuitry. You will need a state cell, a wireless transmitter, and a wireless receiver to get the signals sorted out. You'll need levers underneath in order to activate your booster tracks. You're also going to need some wire. Now, I've used coloured wire in order to troubleshoot all this, but this can easily be replaced with basic red alloy wire, as long as they're not touching, because if they touch, carnage ensues. So just keep them separate. Having them in individual circuits, however, is absolutely fine. So, just like that. And if I trigger number 3 again, and there it goes. Click. And there we go. I hope that's helped you all. I hope you understand the principles behind it. As I said, it's quite modular, and as long as you've got room for these little circuits, you can happily make it quite tall. We had a quarry once in a 1.4 something world, 1.4.2, and I had this 4 stories high. So of course I had a call button, and then I had first, second and third floors, and then on the second floor I had a call button, and then the ground, the third and fourth floors, and so on and so forth. So depending on how wide you make it, the sky's the limit, as you can see. So thank you for watching. I hope you appreciate the video, and if you've liked it, let me know. If you've disliked it, let me know. If you're confused and need help, let me know. I'm willing to explain it again. Hell, invite me to your server. I'll build one for you. Thanks for watching. Catch you all next time.